I was thinking about this. It was a really long process, and it gave me plenty of time. And I think that is the key, is to make sure that you don't leave things too far along. So you've had opportunities to practice and give yourself plenty of time, more time than what you think. And I took every opportunity for coaching. So institutionally, we had an external coaching sort of company that came in. It was all online. It was all still during sort of post-COVID world where everything was being done online. But we had, I think it was like a 2-day coaching course provided by actors. So that was really, really helpful, and really sort of helped give me a different kind of idea of how to present myself, rather than sort of how you usually do things, as in job interviews. This was very different, and I wanted to take on board some of the things that they were saying, and really try and get myself across, because I think that's what they're investing in is you, and it's very difficult to do that without having a bit of knowledge and understanding of some of the key sort of ways of doing that. So I got a lot out of the coaching, and so I definitely would recommend taking any opportunity for coaching. So that was one of my key preparations. And I also took every opportunity to practice. And unfortunately, that meant like formal practice with mock panels and all sorts. So although that's quite painful, because as we all sort of tend to understand, it's harder to do presentations and practice in interviews in front of colleagues that you know, in a way. It was really helpful. It was painful in many ways, but it was really helpful. And the feedback that I had, I really sort of had to, internalize and take on board, I think, and try and not respond in a sort of emotional, protective way, and just try and be really clear that this is to try and help me win the grant, and everyone's sort of, hoping that that's what you'll achieve by what they're saying. It's not meant to be anything other. So I think, prepare by taking every opportunity to help you, and also by having sort of a clear view of how that help is actually, you're going to respond to that. And you do have to be a little bit thick-skinned, I suppose, but really it's just to get you over the line. We had a mock panel with Cascade, some people from Cascade, which was really helpful, and then a mock panel internally with the institution, and both of those were really helpful. Because it was all happening during COVID, or sort of quite close to post-COVID, at first, when I was invited for interview, I was told that it would be in person, and then I received an email to say that it would be online. So that threw me a bit, because having done all the sort of coaching on how to present yourself and things, I was quite actually looking forward to being in person and being able to convey myself, and the opportunity in person. But so that threw me a bit. And then on the day and at the interview, I remember there were lots of cameras off, so I knew there'd be lots of people, but there were also lots of screens that were blank with people with their cameras off, and we all know that's really kind of off-putting. So I quickly had to adjust to seeing like blank screens as well as the chair and the people talking. So that put me, that I wasn't expecting it. And I quickly remember thinking I need to quickly just not worry about this and just get on with the job, because it was really that surprise to me. And even though I knew that there would be lots of people, it was still felt like a sea of faces, and it was overwhelming. Even I think you just have to kind of appreciate and expect that you're walking into a virtual room with many faces, or either blanked out or not. It's still quite a big thing, and yeah, so that wasn't that was hard. But yeah, the fact that there was just a logistical change from being in person to then being online, I wasn't expecting. And there's so many people, and some of them had their cameras off. I wasn't expecting. I guess as well, the pre-recorded, I don't know whether that's still the case now, but I did, the process was a pre-recorded PowerPoint presentation. So there were just so many, it felt like that was quite a distinct part of the process, and that just took a whole different sort of tranche of skills and application to do. And then the interview was the final hurdle, and it felt like you'd already been through quite a lot in developing a really polished PowerPoint pre-record. So I can't remember whether we were told that was when we were told that was going to happen, but there was just so many elements to that PowerPoint pre-record, and then the interview. By the time it came to sort of preparing for the interview, I felt like I'd really kind of consolidated exactly what the key messages of the grant were and what the key messages of what I wanted to convey as a person were. So I guess it all made sense, but it all felt quite, as you'd expect, arduous and a bit it was very involved process. So like I said at the start, giving yourself plenty of time and just prioritizing that prep is just key, because there is so much to it. One thing that I'm still working on is trying to ensure that you don't be too cautious in your approach. So you've already got through to the multiple stages. So the interview is the final sort of validation of who you are and what you're trying to get across, and it's your opportunity. So I'd say try and be bold and be passionate. I find it's just how if I can start talking about the demographic, the people that my work is focused on, then I can really show my true self. So have the change in mind that you want to be, that your work is sort of focused on, and have that in mind when you're talking. I think it's really, for me, helpful. Try not to get bogged down in the technicalities, I suppose, and if you can, just show how the work really excites you and is meant, it's your passion project. I think that's really, really important. A key sort of element, I think, is to try and ensure that you're not responding before you've listened. So the questions, they won't, I don't think, none of the questions were, for me, particularly off what I would expect. They're not trying to catch you out. So, you're just expected to listen carefully and pause before you sort of talk. Because I don't think the questions are meant to be difficult. But you do need to listen and structure your response in a sort of organised way. So that whole sort of mantra, I suppose, of listen, think, respond, is really, if you can practice sort of doing that just a little bit in everyday conversation, I think that's kind of a helpful thing to do as well. So yeah, I think just try and convey your true self. If you've got this far, then you know that they're already interested. The panel are almost convinced of you and the project. So it's your time to sort of really show what it is that you're bringing to it in the way that you want to. So I think try not to be too cautious, and I think we generally are cautious in these sorts of environments, aren't we? We're sort of protective because they're scary. But I think if you can just try and practice with family, friends, all the practice you can get in talking in a engaging way and in a passionate way, but also in a structured way, it's very hard. Then I think, that would be my sort of top tip, really. Getting your true sort of self across.